Okay, well, let's try this again and see what happens. If it'll keep up, if it'll run. If it's going to make me really mad. Let's see what happens. Something is just a whack. Only getting 46 frames a second at that. Okay, so I'm back marginally. I don't know how long this is going to last, if it's going to work. If it's going to keep working. I see I don't know what is going on, but something is obviously amiss today. So we will go with that. It's craziness. It's craziness. All right. Well, we're going to come back around here and attempt this one more time. If it fails out again, I'm just going to go have lunch. Actually, I have to do other stuff to do. Very frustrating. If you happen to come back, I see Art, you're back, and appreciate that. I think I'm going to go ahead and run through working on this little box a little bit. And I can put the recording out. That's always, it's recording. Everything is recording back there. Yes, Micah, this is live, except that it's trying to be dead. It keeps coming in and out. So I'm seeing you, Micah. So yeah, it's at the moment it's live until it buffers again and does crazy things. But hey, good to see you. Hang with us if you can. If I can keep in here and all that good stuff. So to recap, see, there's two folks there. I've rounded up. It's an end grain piece of poplar, and we're working with the cup tools. Mike with the thumbs up. Thank you, sir. It's been one of those Mondays, So we're going to hollow out with the cup tools, and I have both. And I'll show this again because I feel like I'm starting over again. Yes, Don, you're back. I'm back. I hope it stays. Gosh, I don't know. I went in and rebooted the modem, the router, changed some settings in the feed. Let's hope it works. Like I say, I test it in the mornings. I test it before I start, and everything runs fine. And then we get going, and it does its craziness. So what can I say? Showing you from the end camera, you can see the two cutters. They're very similar. Okay, and I'll rotate them around towards you there. And I'm watching there on Facebook. And you'll see the carbide cutter on the left is shallower and has little indentations in it, and then the high-speed steel cutter is here on the right. Now, like questions about and that I have, do they have the same angles, the same bevel angles and all that? Without putting anything on them, they look like they do. They look virtually identical in size, although there is more cup. Let me go overhead here. There is a deeper cup in the carbide cutter than there is in the, there's a deeper cup in the high-speed steel cutter than there is in the carbide cutter. Your favorite soap opera went all wonky. Yeah. The tool is identical. These are completely interchangeable. Okay. And in this tool, they talk about, if you read the directions and watch the video, this is a bevel rubbing tool. And when they talk about the bevel, in this case, it's actually the bevel of the cutter. which is this surface here. This is the bevel of the cutter, and so that's the bevel of the tool. And there is no other tool or bevel part down here to rely on or lean on. Now, some of the tools that I've seen or that are out there have much bigger tool shafts. And I was watching some stuff last night with the Hunter tools, and they'll have a large rectangular tool or square tool and a much smaller cutter. So this is not new, but these are to me they're as free form and forgiving is not the right word I want to use. They offer the most potential for access to areas of space because the tool itself is quite small, only half an inch in diameter of the shaft. So typically, what I have been watching is that folks are they drill a hole down through the middle to make life easier. Again, I cannot find my drill to save my life, and I don't want to set up the other guy. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to start working from the center. And I saved the cap as well. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start with the high-speed steel cutter just because I'll do one and then the other. I don't have a preference yet. I'm certain the question is, why would you choose the carbide or the high-speed steel? Why would you choose one over the other? And I think the answer is going to be the carbide stays sharper longer. Both of these are resharpenable on a diamond card. And I brought out a stem sharpener if I get to that, but the way today's going, I don't know how it'll fly. So anyway, you do not want to have the tool in dead flat, okay? Because if you do, and the cutter does, see if I can hold this up for you. The cutter, you can see that angle is kind of tough. The cutter itself is angled down slightly. If I come over here, that probably will go out of focus. But you can see the cutter is slightly angled down, okay? But you do not want to run the cutter just straight in. You do want to have it rolled up, and on the tool shafts is a little line right here. There's a little black line that tells you where the recommended rotation is. Now that's not. Yeah, I could use a spindle gouge as a drill trick. I figured I would just see if I could do it with this tool, Joe. I always like to push that envelope. There's this line up here, and it's on either side. Is a reference. It's not gospel. It's a reference for a recommended angle. Okay. And typically, if there's a hole already drilled in the middle, then they like to work from the inside out. So I'm just going to start playing with this because I just want to turn to something after dealing with all the electronics. I know what are we doing? We're 6,003 keyframes. I'm watching on a monitor over to my left. Let's just see what we can do here. I guess after all the craziness, let me double check. Sorry for the reach. Joe, your pro mount will go out today. I think you'll really enjoy that. Okay, so I'm going to actually start, and I'm a little high, and my cutter is not tight. So I'm going to walk around here, grab an Allen wrench, and get that cutter tightened up. That might be a nice thing to have. So it has a little Allen wrench, goes right in here, pop you in the overhead. So I happened to just check it, and I saw that my cutter, and that's one of the ways when the leading edge gets dull, you rotate the cutter, right? Well, but you don't want the cutter to be loose when you're sharpening. And to be honest, I didn't even check that the other night. Thursday night when I was out here playing with them. So who knows? I hate it when the electronics don't work because it just frazzles my whole state of mind for the day and all that. And for my presentation. So anyway, I'm going to start from the center. And see what we can do here. Now if I get irritated, I will drill a hole down in here one way or another. There we go. And we're on the overhead camera. Let me put you on the end camera. Once it's all a matter of finding the sweet spot. You're a little scared of it at first, and I'll be the first to admit, you know, it's a new tool. And it makes sense, you know, why they like to drill a hole down the middle, because you don't have to make your own hole. But as you can see, I'm just sweeping around here, camera in closer. Tell you what, I'm going to put you on the overhead for a second, and then I'm going to run this other camera in much tighter and redo the focus. Get you right into action here. No. Hang on just a sec. Now that I can see where I'm at. You sure don't want to see that view. And I need to take my shield off so I can see real clearly for a second here. Because I want you to see right down inside here what's going on. And that's about as close as I can get dialed in there. And let me lock this focus and I'll change it around for you. Okay. Now, I've got you dialed right in there. And you can see where I'm starting to cut. And I'm getting this this is all end grain. And that's what the beauty of this tool is. It cuts this end grain. And this is super, super smooth and clear. Okay? So, and I'm working with the carbide, or excuse me, the high-speed steel tool. And I'm going to lift this up, my face mask up, so I sound a little bit better. I think that once you get comfortable with this tool, you'll do really cool things. I mean, that's just a ribbon of a shaving that's coming off of the tool. Okay. So I'm using it kind of like a drill. And again, it's some time spent. And again, I've spent, what, 10 minutes here? 5 minutes? Okay, so that's working from the inside out. Let's go from the outside in. Let's find the right angle. Find the sweet spot. Admittedly, it does seem initially it likes to cut easier from the inside out, and I have read that. But it's not necessary that you do that. Okay, so I'm going to try and come across the face of that end grain and see if I can't make that just as smooth as the rest of this is. Hopefully my arm's not, no, I see my head was in the way when I was looking there. And I'm just sweeping around there. And for the moment, I continued that cut right out. That's really smooth. Okay, and that is obviously pure, straight up end grain. So that's working with the carbide one. Or excuse, I keep saying that. The high-speed steel. Switch over to the carbide to see if there's any kind of difference. The way it works is exactly the same. What I like about this is it's small. It's small, it's lightweight. And to show you what I'm doing, how I'm working as far as working with the tool goes, I'm just standing right here, pushing down in the center, rotating the tool. And then I can sweep right up that wall. So I'm just holding the tool back here by the back of the handle. Let you watch in the overhead that same arc that I'm making. So you can see the progression of the tool. You see the angle of the tool at least as it goes. So I come in, I rotate up. Now this one happens to not have the markings on it. So I just have to guess, but you get the idea real quick. So I'll make a couple cuts down the center, as if I had drilled a hole. And then I'll just come right on up the wall. Okay. So also that was working inside. I'm going to make one more pass on the inside, and then I'm going to come out to the outside for a minute and play. Now let's go down the wall. Looking for a sweet spot with the cutter. A lot of it seems to be learning how much to rotate the tool and keep the bevel rubbing. And then as you rotate around the corner, so with a little practice, it comes to you pretty quick. The one thing that's different about these in the gouge, they won't self-feed. Okay, let's turn around and come out again. I'm going to try and keep my shoulder out of the way. I know there's not a light's not in there super well. Let's see if we can get any more light in there for you. All right, reaching right back inside. Now, when I initiate this cut, I know I said that this is a bevel rubbing tool, but I'm not actually rubbing the bevel when I start this cut. And then it picks up, and hopefully my hand's not in the way. Now I'm going slow just to, you could go real fast if you wanted to, but I'm taking my time, and here I'm getting into, I've got a knot in there, okay? But there is no, that's just fuzz of wet wood. There's really no torn end grain. The end grain is cutting really clean. Now let's see, I'm turning about 900. I'm going to speed it up just a fuzz, just to see what the difference is like. Been with Gutter Man, my dad says. Well, hope that all worked out, Dad. I'll talk to you after a while. So I can see how you could come down through here pretty quick. And I don't know if Jeff is back or not. Jeff Peters, I don't know if you're back, but I can see how once you get down to the bottom, that's why people like these for boxes. Because you can do what you can't do with a bowl gouge. Which is essentially rub that bevel. Okay. So once you start to get comfortable with it, and that doesn't seem to take, it doesn't seem to take too terribly long to get comfortable with rotating the tool and the angle of the tool. Let me see. Let me show you here. So you're working along, and let's say you're at your 30 to 40 degrees, 30 to 45, and then you just kind of lightly rotate the tool back and forth. Looking for that sweet spot where you're cutting. You're just watching the chip, the curl come off the end of the tool, and also the feel of the tool. And it seems to be quite responsive to that. And again, if I show you inside without my hand in the way, that is really smooth in there. Cutting that end grain super clean. No torn grain whatsoever, and going up the walls. So that's pretty cool. All right, so now, after a sip of soda water here. So it looks like we're holding relatively well in our electronics issue of the day. I'm going to switch things around. They talk about being able to profile the side of a piece, beads and codes and things of that nature. I haven't tried it before. That's why we're here today. Just making profiles on the outside of this. Okay, I don't know how this will go, but we're fixing to find out. So let's see here. I don't have a plan. Imagine that. Making sure I always have the tool rolled up. And let that bevel rub. And you can rotate the tool towards the vertical. What you don't want to do is rotate the tool to the horizontal, this is what will happen, and I will show you on that other piece if I don't run out of time. If you go straight in from here, you'll get a catch. It needs to be rolled up. Do not go straight in. It will do bad things. Okay? But it really does appear to be fairly controllable and simple. To make nice profiles on the outside. And we'll check the quality of the cut here in a second. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. There's even a knot right in there. So let's try something I haven't tried yet. Let's just go down the face of this piece. Let's see if we can find the sweet spot for a cut. Let's see, maybe we draw towards us. There we go. And then we'll just cut that away. Okay. So that was a nice steady pass, very smooth, very controlled. And then I stopped and we have the fuzziness from that. But let's do that cut again, because that was a good exercise. Tools on the rest. Find the bevel. And the happy, appropriate spot for your cut. Okay, so I think the first question might beg, well, why not a bowl gouge? Well, this whole tool is $75. You can resharpen the little cutter and you can replace the little cutter forever. And maybe you never got comfortable, or you're not comfortable with a bowl gouge, and you've been working with carbide tools, square style, like the Easy Wood tool, and you're looking for something that will do end grain cleaner or face grain. And so this is the face, on this end grain piece, and I'm getting a nice clean cut there. Let's come around this corner and see what happens. It really is just a matter of finding the right angle. Now you can see I overcut right there because that cutter went up into my other piece. So let's see if we can't just clean that back up. Pick up the cut. All right. Now we've got some, we didn't turn that right there particularly, so let's clean that up. And it really is just about making those little adjustments. And learning to get the fine detail. Hopefully my head's not in there. Come right down into that corner. So with some time and practice, that is a super finish. I know you can't see, it's not super zoomed in, But by golly, you could start sanding that with 220. If you wanted to, you could sand that with 220 easily. Okay, just for fun, I'm going to jump around, take this piece out. I'm going to take my mask off for a second, and we're going to put the lid in, just to hollow out a little bit of the top, the lid. So let's change this around real quick. And I'm looking over and I see, looks like we're holding steady, still not doing as great. I'm missing a keyframe. I know it may not mean anything to you, but I should be at 2 keyframes interval and at 3, and I'm not sure why it's doing that. But I'll be happy to say that at least it's staying up and running. Okay. Get myself a little breeze going here. Now it is kind of funny thing about me. I either like to turn really big pieces, it seems like, or really small things in the middle of the road is not my spot, so to speak. Okay, so we'll clean up this outer profile real quick, and then we'll go inside here and move inside. If you've got any questions as I'm popping along here, let me know, and I will tell you what I am finding. Okay, so we're going to clean up this outside here. So let's do that real quick. I'm basically just having fun with the tool, getting a feel for it. Small piece of wood, nothing to lose. You can feel the friction. You can feel the tool does get warm, even though this is green. All right, back into the overhead again for this. What's nice about it being a small tool is you can have a nice delicate light touch. And not unlike any other bevel rubbing tool, if it's out around a little bit, if you get just off of that bevel, it smooths out your cut. I'm taking a fairly deep cut there. Okay. And there's a knot in this. So see, we were dealing with a knot right there, and I wasn't getting a lot of bounce. And we've got some little burl eyes right there. Okay. Now it's a little lifted up right there. Let's see something here. Yeah, that cleaned that right up. You can see right here, up here I didn't get the cut going just right. Because it is touted to be, Art says, to recap, ride the bevel when possible. Don't use the horizontal. Don't be afraid to roll the tool, light touch most of the time. Art, that's all correct. That is all correct. The bevel, rubbing the bevel is one of those that is one of those topics of discussion. Ride the bevel, rub the bevel, float the bevel, all those things. The bevel is there to support the cut, but you don't always want to have the whole tool fully contacting, depending on the situation. There's times when you can let it ride, really ride it, and it's fine. There's other times if you let it rub or ride real hard, the tool will start to bounce. So it's that fine line. I like to think of it oftentimes as it floating on a little cushion of air between the bevel and the piece of wood, ever so fine. And it's just it's looking for that sweet spot of cutting without being too aggressive as you control the angle. And that's what I'm liking about this. This There's nothing to it, right? It's straightforward, it's simple, it's light, and quite versatile. I mean, it looks like I can do a lot of things. I'm really looking forward to this. Carbide cutter will be fun to see what happens.